Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton says it's outrageous that Dallas judge jailed salon owner who reopened. Paxton blasted District Judge Eric Moy as out of touch for ordering Shelley Luther to be booked into the Dallas County Jail for defying the edicts. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has intervened in the case of a far north Dallas salon owner whose jail sentence for violating a CV closure order has become a cause célèbre among some conservative Republicans. I don't even know if I pronounced that word right. Célèbre. I find it outrageous and out of touch that during this national pandemic, a judge in a county that actually released hardened criminals for fear of contracting 19 would jail a mother for operating her hair salon in an attempt to put food on her family's table, Paxton said in a letter Wednesday to State District Judge Eric Moy. Now, that's a great point he makes there. And I've heard that point bantied about in other things, and I've talked about it too. How are you going to sit there and release actual criminals, people that have been convicted of stuff? Now, obviously they're not releasing murders, hopefully, but if some celebrity had her way about it, I'm sure that they would release every murderer out there. You know who I'm talking about, Miss Video Made Me Famous. But that aside, I like how they frame it up here. Has become a cause célèbre among some conservative Republicans. Yeah, I don't need to hear that. I don't need to hear whether it was conservatives or liberals. I really don't care about all that. It says here that the judge actually pushed back, though, so it's interesting. Late Wednesday, however, Moy and all 11 of his colleagues, who are the state's civil judges in Dallas County, wrote Paxton a letter calling his missive an improper ex parte communication with a judge sitting on a case. In this context, for you to urge a judge towards a particular substantive outcome in this matter is most inappropriate and equally unwelcome, wrote the 12 jurists, all Democrats. Bang the gavel! Please do not communicate with the court in this manner further. What a dick, right? So you see the ego on his part, and that's what I was going to get at as well. It looks like there's a lot of ego involved in this, and this guy Moy, he sounds like a real piece of shit. Noting that Paxton represents state agencies which are part of the executive branch, the judges said his intervention on behalf of Luther offends the tradition of separation of powers for any member of the executive branch of Texas government to interject itself into the proceedings of the judicial branch. That may be the case. I'm not familiar with how the law is in that regard, but still, how did all of these judges in this entire county become Democrat? I'm sure that's common in a lot of counties, and I'm sure there's a lot of counties that are red as well, but it's just interesting when you kind of have that groupthink, right? That there wasn't one dissenting voice in the room with these 12 individuals that was telling Moy, like, hey, like maybe you took it a little too far. Maybe it's a little bit much what you did. When you have 12 like-minded individuals, whatever side they're on, then you have stuff like this. There's Stifler's mom. There's a little bit more of the article here if you want to read it. It was kind of the similar information that was discussed in the video. Now let me go get you one last source here. And I kind of skimmed this article already. This is Town Hall. I've looked at this site before. Like I said, I think it's a conservative site, or pretty sure it's a conservative right-leaning site here. But it says here, Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick has an interesting workaround for the arrested salon owner. And this is where Dan Patrick steps the F up for one of his constituents within the state of Texas. All right, we'll just read his statement here real quick. He says, I find it outrageous and out of touch that during this national pandemic, a judge in a county that actually released hardened criminals for fear of contracting 19 would jail a mother for operating her salon in an attempt to put food on her family's tables, Paxton said in a statement. The trial judge did not need to lock up Shelley Luther. His order is a shameful abuse of judicial discretion, which seems like another political stunt in Dallas. He should release Miss Luther immediately. The state's Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, however, had a creative suggestion for handling Luther's punishment. Not only would he pay her $7,000 fine, but he volunteered to be under house arrest so she could continue serving her clients and earn money to feed her children. 7 days in jail, no bail, and a $7,000 fine is outrageous. No surprise Texans are responding. I'm covering the $7,000 fine she had to pay, and I volunteer to be placed under house arrest so she can go to work and feed her kids. He stepped up, so you gotta love it. I mean, obviously, he knows he's not going to be put on house arrest. It would be funny if the judge, Moy, had the power to call him on that and sent him an ankle bracelet in the mail or something. Have Amazon ship it next day. That would be interesting. The fine, yeah, man, gotta love that, stepping up. Certainly a tip of the cap to him for doing that. Now, like I said, I mean, I've given my thoughts on her. I think it's a stunt. I think it's a publicity stunt on her part. But that being said, hey, I've got no problem with it. If somebody legitimately believes in a cause, some legitimate cause, we're not talking about the BS causes that are out there that exist. You can name a bunch of them that these SJW types get all wrapped up in. But if you have a legitimate cause and you're willing to stand by it, and you're willing to accrue these fines and do jail time over it, hey, nothing but respect for you. But like I said, I know she's grandstanding here. And the judge, he's a jackass. You've heard me give my perspective on him. I think he's the same way. 12 judges of one type, Democrat in one county. Again, like I said, you get caught up in groupthink and kind of this dictatorial kind of scenario that we see playing itself out around the country, depending on the jurisdiction you're in. Be you live somewhere in a state that's on the right side of politics, or be you in a state that's on the left side of politics. You see really this clear divide amongst how individuals by and large are going about it and how they're responding to these stay-at-home orders. I was thinking about this earlier today because the weather's getting a lot nicer here where I'm at, and what I was thinking was when this whole kind of lockdown thing started, and this is most likely the case where you're at as well, but the weather wasn't as nice. So I think people generally didn't have a problem, and there was a lot unknown about the disease. It was spreading pretty rapidly at that time, and there was a lot unknown in terms of kind of the severity of it. How could it be spread? How contagious was it? What was the death rate? All this other stuff. How can we even begin to find things that can work in terms of drugs until we get closer and closer to a vaccine? So the lockdown, what did we lock down for? Maybe 5 weeks total, 6 weeks maybe, before people started to say like, hey, this is enough. We flattened the curve a little bit. During that time, certainly I get it. I get why they thought it was a good idea, and I don't doubt that that flattening helped save a lot of lives. But what I was just thinking, getting back to that, was had this happened in May, June, July, when the weather was nice, or when the weather is nice, it's hard to get people to stay indoors during that time. So this just came out today, and I believe this was a study of all of the individuals within New York City. 60% of the cases came from individuals who were staying within the house for the most part. They weren't essential workers. So that tells us what a lot of people have speculated, that staying indoors kind of creates a situation where it can be spread easily, or more easily, I should say. But obviously you have to be in there with somebody who's infected with it to begin with, like a loved one, a spouse, relative, child, whatever. The danger of going outside perhaps wasn't as great as we were led to believe, because it doesn't spread as much in the open air as it was in a confined space. Again, that's just something I came across today while I was looking at other things, looking at other videos and research. But again, I've kind of given my thoughts. I felt like she was grandstanding. This guy's a dick. I'm glad to see that, like they always do when something bad happens, that the individuals on GoFundMe are stepping up, the Texans are stepping up, and I love Lieutenant Governor Patrick's reaction to this. Pretty funny. So hopefully in the next few days, and I'm willing to bet this, in the next few days, when the order is lifted on the 9th, that she's going to see lines out the door, baby. This is really going to do nothing but help her business. Grandstanding, definitely, but I get it in terms of constitutional rights and what she feels like she's trying to protect. Individuals like that, individuals who cower at home and hide, and they're just like a yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, individuals, those individuals, you can cower at home. That's fine. But all I would say is don't hate on somebody else for trying to legitimately want to work and put food on the table. Don't be that snitch that's calling the cops. Just let them do what they want to do. You know, take your precautions yourself. When I'm out in a supermarket, I see individuals without face masks. I wear mine still. I'm going to wear it for a little bit longer, for a little while longer, but I'm not going to be in somebody's face about it. That's how you get punched in the face. That's how you get punched in the face. I mean, just do your thing, do what's safe for you, kind of mind your business. And if these other individuals, you know, want to cause themselves harm, and I know they can spread it a little too, but just lay off, man. Just don't worry about what the next person's up to. You can give me your arguments, pro and con, you know, this and that, but I just don't want to see anybody out here getting into a position where you feel like it's good to be snitching on your neighbor, whomever, to the government, to allow the government more authoritarian power. I don't want to see that happen. I don't want to see that come out of all of this. But thanks for watching this video, everybody. Just take it easy out there. Be well. I just always want the best for all of you individuals. So much appreciated. Take care.